Deadly birds, shadowy figures, possessed monster trucks and supernatural tornadoes, Alan Wake is one of the most unhinged horror games I have ever played. And that isn't surprising when it comes from the beloved mastermind Sam Lake.
Birthdays are like regrets.
A Finnish man who is just as outlandish as his own country. One night, somewhere in the year 2005, Sam finally decided he wanted to make an open world horror game but was lacking the creative mind. So he sat down in his comfiest chair, smoked a joint dipped in acid, slapped a bit of Twin Peaks on and played a bit of Silent Hill. That night, Alan Wake was born. In this video, we'll be taking a look into this madness and see what makes this game stand out from the rest.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations.
The game opens with Alan Wake quoting the king of horror himself. This quote comes from an essay called Why Hollywood Can't Do Horror. Stephen King criticised Hollywood for their lack of understanding what makes true horror, saying they have a tendency to over-explain things. Alan then throws his own quote into the mix, and he nails exactly what I think makes good horror.
In a horror story, the victim keeps asking why, but there can be no explanation, and there shouldn't be one. The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest, and it's what we'll remember in the end.
This is a really bold way to start a horror game. It sets expectations sky high, because if Alan Wake doesn't live up to those words, then it's already written its own punchline. Eventually, we step into the shoes of the man himself, speeding down a coastal road towards a lighthouse with urgency. It's a dark and gloomy night. He has no idea why he's behind the wheel at this time, or where he's even going.
Is it invisible here? Oh, no. Okay, I guess not.
All he knows is that the lighthouse is calling. Then this smart geezer thought it'd be a great idea to stand in the middle of the road, immediately halting Alan's side quest.
I'd seen the hitchhiker too late.
Checking on the poor fella gives him the unfortunate news. He was sent back to the lobby. However, in a blink of an eye, the body vanishes. Now, I know what you're thinking. The game starts with a pretentious intro, then pulls a typical horror cliche. But there's nothing cheap here, as the game isn't hiding any secrets yet. This is only a dream. Alan right now is explaining the vivid nightmares he's been having, and he's trying his best to understand what they could possibly mean. Either he's experiencing symbolic messages from his subconscious, or there is something trying to communicate. Don't think too hard, however. The dream is actually giving a lesson to Alan on how to play the game.
No, I don't know how to use the keyboard.
The dream continues to get more twisted and otherworldly. With no way back or even forward, the nightmare ensures we stay on the right path. To give us an extra little push, the man we thought we killed comes back to haunt us.
You don't even recognize me, do you, Ryder?
Now shrouded and obscuring reality around him, he approaches us with murderous intent. But nothing like a good drop to halt his assault. Instead of doing the normal ghost shit and continue to pursue Alan supernaturally, he instead keeps the high ground and just begins roasting him.
Joke. There would be a single readable sentence in your books if it wasn't for your editor.
It's not like your stories are any good. Not like they have any artistic merit. You're a lousy writer. Cheap thrills and pretentious shit.
Halfway towards the lighthouse, a new character enters the nightmare to save us. Alan knows who he is and is starting to get an idea what this is all about. But there's something about this that feels real. The fear, the setting, the presence of something unnatural feels familiar to him. These dreams have been reoccurring with no explanation. Before Alan gets a chance to speak to the man, the nightmare breaks him away from any answers, killing him in the process. Locked in the cabin with no way out. Nice reference to The Thing, by the way. The supernatural powers have backed him into a corner. It's desperately trying to prevent him from reaching the lighthouse, until the light banishes the darkness and pulls him out of that pickle. It safely guides him towards his goal, showing him that the light is his best friend against the darkness. It talks to him in riddles, highlighting his importance in this story, but Alan isn't able to comprehend the message, let alone the darkness around him.
I beam. Do you understand?
No.
Follow my light.
Gunning for the lighthouse, a tornado just comes out of nowhere, destroying everything in its path. The visual and audio design makes you feel its godly presence. Even though we reach the lights, the darkness prevails.
He's here. Shh, baby. Just another nightmare. Everything's fine. You dozed off.
Right. Anything more than dozed off would be news for everyone.
Shaken back into reality, Alan lays his eyes onto his loving wife and the small town of Bright Falls. They have finally made it. But who is Alan Wake and why is he here?
It's a good question.
Alan and his wife are currently on vacation, a much needed break from their work, especially Alan's. For about 2 years now, Alan has been suffering with writer's block. Since the release of his recent book, his pages have remained empty, struggling to put any words onto paper or even muster together a new story. 2 years with nothing new has been eating away at him and even creeping into his dreams, which makes the nightmare a little more clear. He saw characters within it that he created. The ghost roasting his writing could represent the doubt forming in the back of his mind. Even his own missing persons poster. The writer he knew is gone. The light could actually represent him seeking his own identity. Maybe it really was just a nightmare after all. Or was it? To cure his writer's block, he and his wife decided to spend some quality time in Bright Falls, a small isolated town in good old Washington state. The perfect location to hide away from any paparazzi. Which brings me to his character design. It's very boring and basic, but now that I think of it, I think it was intentional. To avoid being detected by any fans, he has picked clothes that won't make him stand out like a sore thumb. His efforts were in vain however, as it only takes about 2 seconds to be noticed on the ferry.
I'm Alan Wake.
I won't pretend I don't recognize a famous writer such as yourself, Mr. Wake.
He's trying to keep this vacation low-key, so he respectfully asked the radio host of the town to keep it a secret.
Look, Mr. Maine, I'm on vacation. In fact, I'd appreciate it if we could keep my being here just between the two of us.
This guy back here doesn't even care who he is, which is probably how he wants to keep it. As much as Alan appreciates his fans, he finds them rather annoying. They remind him of his own work daily, and it's the last thing he wants to talk about right now. Bright Falls is the perfect location. The population is small, so it should be a lot harder for him to be noticed. The setting and atmosphere for this game was heavily influenced by a mystery drama series from the 90s, and is one of the most influential shows ever made. That show being Twin Peaks. Directed by the legend David Lynch.
Agent Dale Cooper. Cooper, you remind me today of a small Mexican chihuahua.
Twin Peaks is one fucking trip, I tell you that. It centers around an FBI agent investigating the mysterious murder of Laura Palmer. As the show gets deeper, it gets far more weird and far more interesting. It's probably one of the most twisted shows I have ever watched. It blurs the line between reality and dreams, leaving you constantly questioning a lot of the characters within the show and whether or not a dark presence is actually behind everything. Alan Wake obviously took inspiration from its setting. Both the show and the game are set in Washington, surrounded by a dense forest, misty lakes, and looming mountains that create an atmosphere of mystery and isolation. Much like Twin Peaks, Bright Falls blends rustic lodges and small town diners to invoke a sense of cozy familiarity, whilst also hinting at something uncanny beneath the surface. The Great Norton Hotel finds its echo in a lot of the cabins in the game, while the Twin Peaks Sheriff's Department parallels the town's modest police station. Just as the architecture blends comfort with unease, so do the characters. Quirky locals and warm authority figures sit beside darker, more sinister forces, creating the same balance of charm and menace that define Twin Peaks. The influences don't just end with its setting, however. Throughout the game, you will meet characters that share similar traits to the ones in the show.
Yeah?
Hey, bestseller, how's my favorite writer? Are you there yet?
Barry. Yeah, we just got here.
Are the locals giving you trouble? Just say the word and I'll hop on a plane and come make sure that you're left alone, Al.
No, Barry.
That was Barry, Alan's agent and best friend. He's hoping the locals aren't bothering him too much, but really, he's just looking for an excuse to come up here. Alan wants to avoid anything that is associated with work, not just to refuel his creative mind, but just to get away from it all in general. The pressure of putting words onto some paper has affected his mental health, and he's still unsure whether or not he wants to return to it. Bright Falls isn't just a break, it's an escape. The isolation is exactly what he needs to think about his future. Arriving at the small town, we step into the diner quickly to meet a man named Stucky. He has kindly lended his cabin to Alan and is here with the keys. This is the Oh Dear Diner, a homage to the one in Twin Peaks. The layout is very similar and has a very charming waitress ready to serve.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner.
Hi, I was wondering if you could help me. I'm looking for...
Mr. Wake. Alan Wake. Oh, God! I am your biggest fan. I know people say that all the time, but I really am.
I'm glad to hear that.
Her name is Rose, and she's basically Remedy's riff on Shelley Johnson. She's the sweet, small-town waitress who represents the homely charm of the diner setting. But unlike Shelley, who plays a key dramatic role in Twin Peaks, Rose is more of a quirky side character. She's a huge Alan Wake fangirl, making her endearing and a little uncanny.
I got the cutout from the bookstore when they took it out of the window.
And you keep it here. Well, okay. Good for you.
Then you have Rusty, an average cop who just loves coffee.
Coffee at the Great Northern? Incredible.
Over in the corner, you have the Anderson brothers, who are too old and lazy to put any music on themselves.
Do me a favor, Sonny. I could really use a tune right now. Coconut, number 6 in the jukebox. I'd do it myself, but both of my legs have gone to sleep. Bad circulation.
Finally, we have this old lady standing by this dark hallway, warning us it's too dangerous to head into darkness without lights.
Don't go in there, young man. You can hurt yourself in the dark.
I think I can handle it, ma'am.
You will notice she holds onto a lamp like a child, earning her the nickname Lamp Lady, which is obviously a homage to a certain character from Twin Peaks, but more on that later. Let's just get this key and get out of here.
Mr. Stucky?
Carl couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he was taken ill. But I have the key for you and instructions on how to get to the lake.
Okay.
I wish you a good stay in my cabin. I'll come by later to check how you've settled in. And to meet your wife.
Instead of meeting Stucky, however, a woman dressed in all black and daunting a veil greets us instead, looking like she just stepped out of her funeral to meet us at this very point in time, claiming Stucky has been taken ill. She hands us over the keys and says she will meet us there later. Linking back up with the wifey ends this small little segment with a spook. Driving away pulls Stucky onto the screen, calling our names and is still holding onto the keys we thought we already picked up.
That diner was a real nut house.
Can you believe this place? This would make a wonderful setting for a book.
We're supposed to be on vacation, Alice. I'll figure it out when we get back home, okay?
Okay, we can talk about this later.
Finally arriving at the beautiful lakeside lodge, Alan and his wife move in to get comfortable. But not before we turn the power back on. Turns out Alice is afraid of the dark and won't go anywhere near the place unless the lights are on. The generator requires a quick time event for power and voila. Oh boy, that does not look safe. Looking up towards the cliffs, you will see the nice silhouette of Cauldron Lake Lodge. It's a little nod to the Kiana Lodge in Washington, or the Great Norton Hotel from Twin Peaks. Once Alice is happy, she calls us in for a special surprise.
Alice? Honey?
A shoebox filled with books by Thomas Zane sat on the shelf. I'd never heard of him before.
The worst insult you could possibly receive.
Meeting her upstairs, we are met with disappointment. She is not the surprise. It's instead waiting for us in the study.
Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past...
Damn it, Alice, everyone
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his.
Alice had the genius idea of bringing Alan's typewriter along to the vacation, because she thought this would be the perfect place for inspiration, which obviously pisses Alan off. This is meant to be a break away from everything, yet he's still being pressured to write. He storms off to cool down alone, but leaving Alice behind in the house sets something in motion.
Alice?
The power goes out, leaving her in the dark with something.
Alice!
After that commotion, we are suddenly attacked by a flock of cursed ravens. Blinding them with the light, however, burns them, like they're fucking vampires or something. This is one of the main mechanics of Alan Wake, and I will talk about it very soon, but we have a wife to save.
Bro, take your time.
Making our way back though, she's gone. Investigating the back porch, we discover she has fallen into the dark waters of the lake. Alan immediately dives in after her, only for everything to go black. Instead, we wake up slumped behind the wheel of a wrecked car on some random forest road, with no clue how we got here, nor what happened. Bro just went from Baywatch to bumper cars in seconds. We're now in the dark, both literally and metaphorically. With a dead phone and no other way to call for help, we set our eyes onto a gas station on the other side of the cliffs. Heading deeper into the woods, we spot something very familiar. The same bright light from our dreams. Of course, no one is there, but it leaves something behind for us. It's a page from a manuscript titled The Departure, a story idea Alan came up with but never started. The first page describes the hero of the story being attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night. Where are we right now, and what time is it? Entering an old lumberyard, the story comes to life. The manuscript predicted Alan's future, and it's exactly as it was described. This axe murderer, however, turns out to be Carl Stuckey, the man who was meant to deliver the keys back at the diner, now obscured with shadows, just like the axe murderer from Alan's nightmare. With no other choice but to run, we head to a well-lit cabin nearby, where we find a nice piece and a flashlight. Whatever these things are, they're afraid of any form of light. It acts as a weapon and protective barrier, so we should be pretty safe in here. Oh, maybe not. Turns out they haven't completely lost their intelligence. We're now out in the open. The crazed man is nowhere to be seen, and there appears to be no clear way out of this place. Even worse, Stuckey has called some backup. This is where I now explain how the flashlight works in this game. Shooting these guys will deal no damage until you've banished the darkness within them. Simply aiming the light at them will begin to break down their shadowy barriers, eventually making them vulnerable. If you want the light to be more effective, you can focus it by holding down right click. This will also make them back off away from you, which is handy in the later parts of the game when they start to swarm you. By doing this, however, you drain the flashlight quicker. You can either wait until it's fully charged again, or reload it with more batteries you find lying around. Alan has some pretty fucking deep pockets, as he's able to carry up to 20. These fellas are known as the Taken. These ones in particular are just your average Joes, but the game does throw some different variants at you a bit later. I can't exactly explain what they are right now, as that would give away the plot, so stay tuned. After a few shots with the revolver, they go down with ease. The flashlight also acts like a crosshair. Whatever it's pointing at is where your bullets are going to go, which is a neat way to implement a crosshair without having a generic cursor on your screen. One thing Alan Wake does have, however, is the cursed IGN reviewer paint. Well, it doesn't guide you on the right path, but it does take you to a nice cache of supplies. Who's left these behind? Fuck knows. In one of the boxes, you will find a flare gun. Easily the strongest weapon in the entire game, as it's able to take down multiple Taken with just one shot. Ammo is limited, however, so do use it wisely. But In order to see the yellow paint, you will need to first reveal it with the flashlight, which again is a neat feature to avoid it being generic. Further into the lumberyards, we get our hands onto a freaking Olympia, aka the worst shotgun in COD Zombies. This thing packs a punch, well, in Alan Wake at least. I won't talk about this weapon just yet because Alan Wake does something completely different to other horror games out there, and it's something you either hate or just don't care about. After finally escaping, we make our way up to the gas station, but inside, the TV flickers on.
I'll write. I'll keep writing. Outside there's only darkness. Outside the cabin, outside the story, there's only darkness. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now, I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her, I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. The story will come true. If I stop, she's lost. I don't believe this. It'd been me on the TV, talking crazy. Was I losing my mind?
It's us, back in the study where Alice left the typewriter, rambling to ourselves about writing a story that will somehow bring her back, either for us or someone else. Thankfully, there's a working phone inside, so we're finally able to call the sheriff for help. And this is where the story really starts twisting itself, kicking the mystery into gear.
Oh, thank God, Sheriff.
Sheriff Sarah Breaker, you are...
I'm Alan Wake, but listen, I was in a car crash. My wife, Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Wake.
We were staying in a cabin on the island, on Cauldron Lake.
There's no island on Cauldron Lake, not since the big eruption in the 70s.
Please, I can take you there, okay?
You look like you've taken
It turns out the
bad...
Lakeside Lodge doesn't exist anymore, and it hasn't for a long time, which, you know, kind of raises some questions about what the hell we just checked into. To make things worse, the sheriff wants to know if we've seen Stucky around, which is awkward because he's dead, killed by our own hands in self-defense. But Alan can't exactly say that out loud.
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed me, and then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice.
1, it makes him sound insane, and 2, it's hard to save your wife if you're locked up for murder. We play dumb for the time being and get into her car to check out whether or not she's telling the truth about the lodge. Not only is the lodge completely gone, but the entire island along with it. Chapter 2 begins with a flashback, where we're back in New York, still wearing the same clothes.
Honey, I'm home.
Back here, sweetie. How was it?
Worst weather I've ever seen.
You should put some coffee on. It'll warm you up.
Inside his office, you can read a few pages from his most recent book, The Sudden Stop. It's about a New York detective named Alex Casey, and when you read the pages, you realise this is more of a reference to Max Payne, one of Remedy's most iconic games to date. This is a third-person shooter about a New York cop taking down a mafia. There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but the games are amazing. What I do like about this reference, however, is that it implies Alan created Max Payne's character himself. When you read it, it's not even voiced by Alan himself, but rather the legend James McCaffrey, the voice of Max Payne.
This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me.
There's nothing else to really add from this flashback other than this final cutscene. It's Alan and his wife sitting in the dark after a power outage. She obviously has a fear of this, so Alan gives her something from his childhood. An old light switch he calls the clicker. He suffered with nightmares when he was just a kid, so his mother gave it to him to calm his nerves whenever the nightmares occurred. She told him it was magical and it would scare the monsters away.
How do you feel, Mr. Wake? Any nausea, disorientation, anything like that?
We're now at the police station, downplaying our symptoms to a doctor to avoid being sent to a hospital. It's also here we find out there's been a time jump. All this madness hasn't happened over the course of just one night. It's been one whole week. Between the night Alice went missing and the accident, everything is a blur. Maybe due to the crash, or maybe some dark presence has obscured time. The sheriff begins questioning us about what happened while she has people look for our wife. But she seems to be more interested in how we ended up at Stucky's gas station, making this very awkward.
I wanted to tell her what had happened last night, but I couldn't. She'd lock me up.
Alan is however saved with a phone call, but it's one he was not expecting.
Hello?
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
Stop talking to the law. You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
His wife has been abducted. He demands we immediately stop talking to the law and gives us instructions. He wants us to check out the junkyard in the back to prove we're all on the same page.
Alice's driver's license had been placed on the front seat. The caller meant business.
Barry?
Ow! Ow! Thank God! Where the hell have you been?
Thankfully, Barry manages to get hold of us. Probably the only person we can trust right now, so we tell him to pick us up and take us to the Elderwood National Park to meet the very man who kidnapped Alice. Before leaving the station, we yet again see ourselves on the TV, rambling on about a dark presence that has taken Alice, and writing is the only way to save her.
The world I'm making dies. Darkness will reclaim it. It's a long, hard journey into the dark. Alice's life is at stake, but I can't think about that, or I'll lose it. The dread lingers at the edge of perception. I'll push on. Anything is possible here. I'll write the story. I'll save her.
At the front entrance, we find the sheriff having a conversation with Dr. Hartman, the very man Alice wanted us to meet to talk about our writer's block. He obviously isn't too keen on the idea and has some bone to pick with the doctor.
Did you talk to my wife?
I had the pleasure of discussing your situation with her on several occasions.
Did you set something up with her?
I invited her here. My clinic is a place where...
Oh, hey! Oh my! Take it easy.
Hey, nobody move! Get your hands off of my client!
Who are you?
I'm Barry Wheeler, his agent.
This is where we finally meet Barry, and oh boy, he's quite the character. He serves as comic relief in this game, but to be honest, I found him to be more annoying than anything. He's a really goofy character who talks way too much. He does play a big role in this game, and this won't be the last time we see him. He's the only person Alan truly trusts right now, since they've known each other for a very long time. We tell him everything. Alice, the kidnappers, the memory loss, and even something about this dark presence. But what really settles him is the fact Alan has written a new manuscript, which he sees as a money-making opportunity.
He thought I was certifiable, but when he heard about the manuscript, I had him. The fact that I'd written something, even if I couldn't remember it, was enough for him. He smelled money.
We're now at the Elderwood National Park. The kidnapper wants us to meet him at Lover's Peak, but we have no idea how to get there. So that brings us to the reason why we're here. We can find Rusty out on the balcony, who was the deputy from the diner. He will give us the directions we need, and the trail to Lover's Peak begins here. But first, we need some much needed rest. So we rent out a cozy lodge and wait for nightfall. The bad news is that Barry can't come with us. And the good news is that Barry can't come with us. We have to be alone, as that's what the kidnappers demanded. But I see that as a blessing, so we yet again step into the woods solo. It's only a short distance back to the national park, but if you want, you can do a little exploring. Though I don't really advise it, as there isn't much to find nor to see. In one of the cabins, you can find a TV playing some old-fashioned cable. The show airing is called Night Springs, a popular series within the Alan Wake universe, which is an obvious homage to the Twilight Zone. You will find several TVs playing it throughout the game, with unique episodes each time.
How did you get here?
Further down the path, we will find another one of those pages to the supposed manuscript Alan wrote. It describes a gruesome scene involving Rusty at the visitor centre, the place we were just at. It ends with a quote from Rusty, saying, "Mr. Wake, it happened just the way it was on the page." And just like the last page we read, this also happens exactly as described.
Mr. Wake?
Oh, hell.
It happened just the way it was on that page. I found. Came true. It knew. So dark. It'll come back for me. You must... The lights. in the office. I have the key.
Okay, Rusty. Hang on. I'll be right back.
Pages to the manuscript can be found all over the game and will predict events in detail every time. Some will provide some lore to events that have already happened, while some may give back some of Alan's memories. These are not crucial to the plot as they're more of a collectible than anything, but it does give you a hint as to what is going on. After that unfortunate event, the Taken come out of the shadows. Since it's night, the Dark Presence is able to manifest itself and will attack us at every given opportunity. Which brings me to one crucial element in this game. You do not keep your weapons after chapters, but you will in fact have to search for them again in the environments. For some reason, Alan has the tendency to lose his piece every time, so there's no point in conserving ammo because the numpty is going to lose it anyway, which is why I'm not really going to be talking about the weapons all that much. There also isn't any item that will heal you, it's all regenerative. To speed up the process, you can stand under these light sources to heal. The only items you will need to worry about are batteries. This game isn't really a survival horror but more of an action thriller, and that's fine. But there are times where the game never lets you breathe. The action at times feels constant. These idiots just pop out of nowhere sometimes and will randomly ambush you. Unfortunately, leads into this game feeling a little repetitive sometimes. I will get into that more a bit later. Let's just get across this ravine and meet this creep. But the fucking birds crashed the party.
We gotta get moving. More of them coming.
In a moment of sheer luck, a mysterious man appears out of nowhere and saves Alan's bacon. However, he recognises his face. He was on the ferry with us right at the beginning, and this convinces Alan that he's the man who took Alice.
But then, I recognized him. He'd been on the ferry when I first arrived here with Alice. He knew my name. We were headed in the direction of Lover's Peak. There was no way this was a coincidence. He was the kidnapper.
For now, we play along and follow him. This isn't the place to get into a heated argument since he's the only person who knows where she is. And this takes us into a pretty shit segment. We have lost our weapons again. All we have is the flashlight along with some flares. The hunter is the only person equipped with a gun, so it's our job to keep the flashlight on the buggers. And there are a lot of them. You can get stun locked in this game pretty easily and it doesn't take a lot to kill you. Running away isn't the best option either as Alan has the gas tank of a chain smoker. You can in fact dodge but it needs to be perfectly timed for it to work. Oh sorry, let me quickly rephrase that. It's not just a dodge, but a cinematic dodge. Every time, the game for some reason has to enter slow motion. Yes, every single time. The reason why this part is so challenging is because this guy has the same aim as my average ranked teammates. And this part only ends once they're all dead. After many deaths, we finally have some room to chat.
Where's my wife?
I knew you were gonna say that. I read it all before. You're a hell of a writer. Congratulations. You're gonna bring about something glorious and terrible once we get you some proper editorial control.
What the hell are you talking about? Where's Alice?
I want the entire manuscript, or she's gonna suffer bad.
You touch her
Yeah, fucking well played, mate. What this redneck really wants is the entire completed manuscript, which of course Alan has no clue it even exists. His plan is to meet back with Barry to come up with some sort of plan. This segment is basically one long track back to the cabin, with some interesting things to see along the way but nothing entirely noteworthy. Except for this. I was pleasantly surprised this game had segments that involve driving, and there are plenty of them. You may remember I said Sam wanted this to be an open world game, and that was the original idea. It was instead scrapped for something more linear so that they could focus more on the story. Elements of an open world do remain as there are parts of it left in the game in the later segments. Big open areas that you can sort of explore, and there's a wide range of cars you can find. To be honest, I think scrapping this idea was the right call, as it's hard to see a game like this even be an open world. To me, it wouldn't have made all that much sense. While the gameplay did suffer a bit, the story on the other hand certainly didn't. We make it back to Barry and put together a new plan. Alan doesn't have the manuscript and isn't even sure it's even real, so he spends the entire night trying to put something together to pull a fast one on the chump. But his writer's block is preventing him from putting anything onto paper. However, Barry receives an unexpected call from Rose, claiming she has found the pages. She tells us to meet her at her home to come and pick them up.
Welcome to the
Oh Dear Diner.
Good girl.
But it's a trap set up by the darkness, or should I say, the woman in black. Whoever or whatever she is clearly the one behind all this madness. During the night, her powers are at its strongest, but by day, it can still touch and infect people with her dark presence. Rose is her recent victim, using her charming voice to set up a trap for Alan. We arrive at her home. Well, not yet, but we're forced into one of those incredibly slow walking segments, but it gives you some time to ponder over everything we've learnt so far. Just before we arrived, the sheriff called to let us know an FBI agent has arrived who is anxious to meet us.
We have an FBI agent here, Agent Nightingale.
FBI?
He's anxious to see you. You'd better come to the station.
Okay, I'll be right over, Sheriff.
Whatever they have found, it's more than likely something to do with Stucky. Barry, however, proves his usefulness.
Listen, I found out all sorts of interesting stuff while I was digging around.
While Alan was missing, he did some digging and found some rather interesting information about Bright Falls. And this place has it all. Myths, urban legends, strange disappearances, and mysterious deaths. All of it linking back to Cauldron Lake. That wasn't the only thing he found, however. The island that used to be there was owned by a famous writer named Thomas Zane. But Barry looked into his history and couldn't find a single book he has ever written, which is an interesting detail because we found several of his books inside the cabin.
A shoebox filled with books by Thomas Zane sat on the shelf. I'd never heard of him before.
After a painful walking segment, we arrive at her doorstep.
Oh dear. Mr. Wake. I'm so glad you're here.
Rose greets us like a fucking zombie and invites us in for a cup of coffee, which Alan nor Barry seems to question, making them walk straight into whatever this could possibly be.
My manuscript. I really need it.
I understand. I know what you need. A muse to inspire you.
Oh, for Barry? She doesn't have anything.
Yeah, hey, Al? Al, what's... Oh...
Barry! What? What?
After being spiked by Rose, Alan is visited by an old friend.
It's coming for you, hiding in my barber's skin. I'm too weak to stop it. You must turn the lights on.
You are hurt. You should go into the light. You are only safe there.
The voice from his nightmares. What's interesting here, however, is you can hear someone breathe through scuba equipment.
It's coming for you, hiding in my...
A detail that is linked to the dream. All the way back inside the cabin, you will see a poster of a deep-sea diver with a familiar light pouring out of its helmet. It's captioned Tom the Poet, also known as Thomas Zane. As Barry pointed out just earlier, he was heavily into diving.
Zane was heavily into diving, so much so that the place came to be called Diver's Isle.
When the volcano erupted under the lake, it took not only Zane, but the entire island along with it. This will all become very important much later.
You must turn the lights on. Turn the light on.
Back to work, boy.
reality from dream anymore, but it seems I have an imaginary editor to help me. She's an old woman in a funeral dress. I call her Barbara Jagger. She's very strict. I'm writing faster and faster. My manuscript is being heavily revised. The edits are getting very aggressive, and each day there's less of me and more of her. I hate it, but I know she's right.
It's become clear now. The woman in black, or should I say Barbara, is the one making Alan write this story. These TVs are most likely playing back Alan's lost memories. After Alice went missing, Barbara appeared in Alan's imagination as a friend, with the idea of this story, and became his editor, overseeing every written word and altering it to suit her better, manipulating Alan into believing this was the only way to save Alice. Somehow, we managed to break free from her spell, but lost a week's worth of memory. But it appears whatever he wrote is altering reality, exactly what happened to Thomas Zane when he was living on the island with his wife during the 70s, who turns out to be the woman in black. With Barry still completely out of it, wait, how did we end up in the bedroom? Oh, well, that's not fucking creepy. We have no other choice but to leave Barry behind.
Barry was out of it. He was way too heavy to carry. My gun and flashlight were gone.
With less than 12 hours left to meet the kidnapper, we better get a move on. But the police are here in full force to stop us. All thanks to this snitch Randolph.
This is Agent Nightingale, FBI! Get him up, Hemingway! You're under arrest!
This is Agent Nightingale, a character who was based on Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks. Sort of. While they're both from the FBI, they're actually the polar opposites. Agent Cooper was a charming and composed character who loved coffee and trees.
This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee. I've had, I can't tell you how many cups of coffee in my life, and this is one of the best.
Sheriff, what kind of fantastic trees have you got growing around here? Big, majestic.
Douglas firs.
Douglas firs. Man, smell those trees.
Whereas Agent Nightingale hates coffee and trees.
Agent Nightingale didn't want to be in Bright Falls. These little communities revolted him, and he didn't like the trees or the coffee.
He's also a complete hothead who seems to be out for blood rather than justice.
Move a muscle, I'll unload right in your goddamn face! Stay right where you are, Spillane! What are? I'm standing right here, you goddamn maniac!
The full force of the law is now tailing us through the dark woods. A bad sign, as the darkness tends to manifest itself during the night, meaning a lot of innocent lives are about to be thrown into the madness. This is also the part in the game where objects start to get haunted, either blocking your path completely or getting yeeted at you from a godly distance. Like, there's this one part in this chapter where I just kept dying to this bullshit.
What the fuck is going on? What is going on? What?
It didn't feel like there was an effective way of dodging the objects. You can obviously destroy them with the flashlights, but it would always take a lifetime, resulting in these encounters feeling rather cheap. Yeah, no, fuck the barrels, all my homies hate the barrels. As we're still fleeing from the law, we eventually stumble onto Maine's radio station, the one that belongs to the man we met on the ferry. We're hoping Maine can give us some directions to the local coal farm, the very place we need to get to ASAP since we're very short on time. However, before we can do that, Agent Nightingale somehow knew we would be heading here.
Whoa, everyone calm down. Put the gun down, we're all friends here, right?
Cool your jets, Nightingale. We got him. What the hell's the matter with you? There's a civilian in there.
I'll get you yet, even if it kills me, you hear me? You hear me, H.P. Lovecraft?
Oh wow, would you look at that? Agent Nightingale knows who H.P. Lovecraft is. I didn't take him for a bookworm. This is actually a decent comparison though. Lovecraftian stories is all about cosmic horror. Essentially, the fear of something we do not understand, wherever that be aliens, supernatural beings, or something we just cannot comprehend. If Nightingale somehow knows what's going on, and has some ideas whether or not Alan is behind it all, the comparison is quite fitting. Either that, or he's just trying to sound smart. Anyway, the only way out of this valley is through this old lumberyard. A pretty short segment with an unexpected fight. The plan is to find a car hopefully sitting around here somewhere because the coal mine is pretty far. We don't have to worry about any cops lying in wait either, as they've stopped pursuing us for the time being. The Taken, on the other hand, still want Alan dead. But that's not all. A large bulldozer decides to join in on the action.
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
Turns out the Dark Presence can not only possess people, but also any fucking object of its choosing. It moves slowly, but its large size can make it hard to dodge at times. Bullets are completely useless against this thing. Any form of light is your only hope. But you will have to juggle your flashlight between people with weapons and this cursed thing. So I hope you don't have the awareness of a sloth. After eventually banishing the bulldozer, we find a car outside the gates with the key still left in it. How convenient. With daylight back on our side, it's just a matter of finding the coal mine now. There won't be anything to worry about in this part other than watching where you're driving.
You're kidding me, mate. What the fuck is this checkpoint?
This is just a simple, peaceful drive to the coal mine, giving you a nice opportunity to appreciate just how beautiful this game can look at times. I know this is the remastered version of the game, but it has aged incredibly well. Not only the graphics, but also just how the game feels. Though the gameplay is really basic, it feels satisfying and more importantly, it works. Hell, even driving feels good in this game. After a nice peaceful drive, we made it to the coal mine. The kidnapper is nowhere to be seen. We didn't arrive early, nor did we arrive late. It's a long and agonising wait for Alan. He sits around with scenarios playing in his head on what could possibly happen next. What do we do once he's here? Is Alice even alive? But more importantly, is he ever going to show up? Hours go by and nothing.
It was all a waste of time. The bastard never showed up.
Where the hell are you?
Change of plans. You know where Mirror Peak is? It's a big mountain north of where you are. You follow the path from the mine, you can't miss it. There's a lookout point there. I'll be waiting.
I'm through being jerked around by you.
You want to see your wife alive? Because if you do, you better watch what you say to me. Do we understand each other?
I want to talk to Alice.
Yeah, and I want the manuscript. Don't keep me waiting, Wake.
And that's what I call time padding. Now this next part is my least favourite. I'm not kidding when I say this. From here to Mirror's Peak, it's 50 minutes of constant action. That wouldn't really be an issue if the gameplay offered variety. But in this game, there's only 4 enemy types. They don't have unique names, but they're easy to spot. Here you have your average Taken, basically the most common ones you run into. You have your much beefier version, who are usually bigger, slower and hit much harder. Then you have the opposite of that, ones that are quick, hold 2 weapons and throw combos that will stun lock you to heaven. Then you have the worst of the bunch, this fucking idiot who teleports all over the place. If you count the cursed birds and random objects as enemy types, then the game actually has 6. But majority of the time, you will be fighting the ones I just listed. The fact this part takes about an hour to get through and it's nothing but action kind of ruins the experience, for me at least.
No, mate. Please. Please. I don't want to go back. I don't want to do that checkpoint. Please. Come on. No.
After going through the old coal mine, we discover some old destroyed ruins with some rather interesting graffiti. One key thing to note as well is that it can only be revealed with a flashlight. This tells us whoever left these messages is the same person who left the supply caches all over Bright Falls. I originally thought it might have been Tom himself leaving the messages, but this changes that. As we're approaching Mirror's Peak, we hear someone begin to beg for his life.
Get away! Sorry. Please, late. The boss didn't know who he was messing with. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. We don't have a wife. We don't know where she is. She's probably drowned.
It turns out this guy never had Alice to begin with, and was trying to take advantage of his situation. But it also turns out he's not acting alone. His boss is unknown to us right now, and whoever it is after the manuscript. It turns out they had no part in Alice's disappearance. Before we can get him to talk, however, the woman in black ensures he won't be a problem again. A supernatural tornado manifests and swoops up not only the bad guy, but us too, plunging us all the way down to Cauldron Lake, where an unknown person is waiting for him. Chapter 4 is a weird one, and is probably my favourite in the game. But before I get into that, Alan is about to learn the truth about everything.
I had to give you a sedative. Don't fight it. You went through another rough period. What? Right now, it's very important that you stay calm. We don't want you to have another episode. You're a patient at my clinic. Have been for a while now. The shock of your wife's death triggered a mental illness.
No, you lie.
You're suffering from various symptoms of undifferentiated schizophrenia.
Bastard.
It's okay, Alan. Just let go.
None of this was real. According to Dr. Hartman, Alan had another schizophrenic episode. Since the death of his wife, he's been a patient at Hartman's clinic, and everything we've just been through was part of Alan's fantasy of saving her from the darkness.
Alice is dead.
No.
You're in a very vulnerable state until you understand and accept this. Alice drowned, and you couldn't face that. You're suffering from hallucinations, paranoid delusions, unusual thinking, an obsession about light and darkness, a feeling that everything revolves around you, your thoughts and dreams. Your mind has constructed an elaborate fantasy scenario in which your writings are affecting reality. She has been kidnapped, and supernatural forces of darkness are trying to stop you.
And when you think about it, it all makes sense. Since the beginning, everything has been playing out like a book. This fantasy was a coping mechanism, but Alan is now slowly being brought back to reality through Hartman's treatment. The darkness was never real. Or was it? Is Dr. Hartman full of shit? How did we get from here to the Cauldron Lodge? Who was the man that pulled us out of the water? Alan isn't believing a word that's coming out of Hartman's mouth. The sedative, however, is making the words feel believable. So to buy himself time, he's playing along. This is where the doctor gives us a tour and introduces us to other patients within the clinic. And oh lord, what is up with that guy's neck?
What's up with his neck? What the fuck?
That's Emerson. We're actually making some progress with him, I'm happy to say. He works on video
Elbow
games.
Oh, of course, he's a gamer, that explains it. According to Hartman, we've been writing a story during our treatment, and now that we're healthy again, he wants us to continue it. Which does raise a question, but we'll come back to that. First, he introduces us to the Anderson brothers, the two old guys from the diner. Sadly, they're both going through advanced stages of dementia. They, however, still remember their glory days as rock stars. Odin and Thor were their stage names, and were part of a rock band called Old Gods of Asgard. This information may seem irrelevant, but it will play a big part in this chapter very soon.
I'd like to bash his head in with a hammer.
Oh, he'd love to fish out our secrets, but he has no clue. He's not crazy enough. Not crazy like us, Sonny. Yeah! Being crazy's a requirement, Sonny. Who else could understand the world when it's like this? It takes crazy to know crazy.
That's the sanest thing I've heard in a while.
Zane! You're all right, Tom. Hey, we like him, don't we, bro?
Did you catch that? Odin just referred to Alan as Zane. He thinks we're Thomas Zane somehow, and it turns out they have a message for him. It's currently waiting for us at their farm, and now that makes it our next destination. But first, we need to find a way out of this place. For now, let's head back to our bedroom to play along with Hartman's plan.
Something's wrong. I'm not myself. It's hard to think that there's a shadow inside my head. I can only focus on writing. Everything else is a blur. I'm trapped in this cabin. Have been for days, but it's always dark outside. My editor is real. I saw her again. She's not human. It's not human. A dark presence is wearing the old woman's face. She was covered in clinging shadows. There's a hole in her chest where her heart should be. I think I've made a horrible mistake. I don't think I'm any closer to saving Alice. It's been lying to me, using me to get the story it wants, and the story will come true.
The white glare of the blank page in front of me hurt my eyes. My hands began to shake uncontrollably.
Everybody, calm down. Put that down. Bert, I need help.
Hey, Wake, you stay here. I'm gonna go see what's up. You just keep doing what you're doing. Be cool, okay?
In a stroke of luck, the Anderson brothers start kicking off, creating a nice diversion for us to find our way out of here. We quickly borrow the keys from this lady and begin heading our way towards Hartman's office, where the real secret is revealed.
Hartman wasn't happy. Mott could see it in his eyes. He quickly lowered his own. He had made a mess of it, and he knew it.
Mott was the man who allegedly kidnapped Alice. It was nothing but a ruse. And Hartman was the man behind it all. He hired Mott to carry out this ransom, all because he wanted his grubby hands on Alan's manuscript. In fact, the whole reason we're in Bright Falls to begin with starts with Dr. Hartman. On a tape recorder, you can listen to a conversation between Alice and the doctor.
Now, Mrs. Wake, can you tell me about Alan's problems?
He's more and more out of control all the time.
Apparently Alan hasn't been the same person she once knew. The whole writer's block he's been going through isn't even the root of his problems, but their relationship began to sour because of his pent-up frustrations. It's also revealed here the tape recorder was used for the ransom. The messages from Alice were nothing but a recording.
Hearing her voice, what she was saying made me happy and sick and guilty all at once. Worst of all, I recognized the words. The phone call from her. It had been a cut-up of this. Just a recording.
She was never with them to begin with. But the biggest question right now is why? Why is he going through the lengths to get hold of Alan's manuscript? We don't even know it's real. We've come so far, yet we still know very little about what's truly going on. Maybe all of the answers will be at the farm. Let's just get out of here first.
Barry? Ow! About time!
We find Barry locked inside the doctor's storage room. He tried to isolate Alan from everything, including his own friend.
I mean, no! The cops found me at Rose's trailer, but they didn't hassle me too much. I'm obviously a victim in this, and I demanded to be treated as such.
What's with the cutout?
I stole it from the diner to piss off Rose after what she did to us. That'll teach her.
Yeah, that's a harsh punishment. Come on, pal, we gotta get going.
These were all the pages I had on me. And more.
Alan, please. You're sliding back into the...
Tell me one more lie and I'll shoot you in the face.
Ah, well, it was worth a shot. Really, Wake, come on. Let's work together on this. You have no idea...
Hartman, shut up! Barry, get out of here. I'll catch up with you. Get a car.
Oh, Al, let's just...
Go! Wake, listen to me. This is a mistake. Don't you see? Together we can create something absolutely wonderful. With your ability and mine.
The dark presence begins to consume the clinic, possessing every bit of furniture it touches, desperately trying to prevent Alan from escaping.
I needed light to get the possessed bookshelves out of my way.
Possessed bookshelves. And would you look at that? A quick time event to unlock a door. Wow, this is truly a video game. We finally get back outside, and we lay our eyes onto the sheer power of the darkness, completely fucking shit up, making it look like a scene from Monster House. We make it to Barry, but the front gate sits between us. One we can't climb because it seems like Alan has lost the ability to use his legs for more than anything else other than walking. So we have no choice but to head through a hedge maze. I would like to think this is a nod to The Shining, but there's no snow. This is also the point the game realises we haven't shot jack shit in the last 30 minutes. So it forces us into a little mini arena, which was pretty difficult. Oh my god, man, there's very little room to play with, and it drops a few of those buggers in with us. After a somewhat frustrating experience, we catch a ride with Barry and start heading towards the Andersons' farm, or in other words, Valhalla.
Valhalla!
With some time to kill, Alan begins to explain everything he knows to Barry. The powers of Cauldron Lake is able to manifest a writer's story into reality, but at a great cost. While Barbara Jagger was playing the role of editor for Alan, she was secretly using the manuscript to gain power. By altering every word he wrote, it was able to enter reality and take control. However, the manuscript is unfinished, hence why it has yet to reach its fullest potential.
No, listen, I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's just me defining it. Look out!
This rodeo, however, has a sudden stop. Get it? Something I do find funny about this scene though is Barry.
Look out!
Bro, why are you telling Alan to watch out? You're the one behind the wheel. We're now split up. We have no other choice but to head to the farm on foot and just hope Barry meets us there. This part is a big nothing burger, to be honest, so I am going to skip a bunch of it. It's not because it's boring or anything, but I don't want this video to be any longer than it needs to be. Besides, it's just more of the same stuff from previous chapters. One interesting detail is this encounter with the lights.
I'm trying to deliver each page to the right time and place. I'm trying to show you how the story goes.
It isn't just guiding us forward, it's showing us the way the story is meant to unfold. Every page of the manuscript was left by Thomas Zane, laying out how events are supposed to happen, but Alan has found ways to resist, to bend the rules of the narrative. The light then isn't just guidance, it's a glimpse of the future, allowing Alan to sidestep the script and find a way to free Alice from the darkness. Barbara is trying to ensure Alan finishes the ending, that way it can truly be free. Eventually, we find a cozy lodge with a car hanging outside.
I could see the car, but there was no sight of the driver.
Inside, we stumble across a familiar face, the drunk from the jail cells.
I went to the farm again for the moonshine, you know?
This geezer is looking for some moonshine. Turns out the Andersons cook up a nasty drink that clearly has some people pretty hooked and are willing to die for.
I miss the booze.
In the next room, we uncover another fragmented memory, one that's surprisingly revealing.
Like the dark presence wants me to. The story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story, and it's going to kill her, and me, and everybody in this town. No one will survive. Darkness will consume everything. This is what it's wanted all along. It will be free, unstoppable. It used Alice to get to me, dangled her in front of me to keep me going. It was never going to release her. I'm going to change this. I'll escape.
If you're starting to piece together what's really happening, that's great, just don't spoil it for the others. The real question right now is, how did Alan escape the darkness? If he was truly trapped, he couldn't be here rewriting this story just like we are now. The answers lie here, at the farm. It's only a matter of time before we uncover them. Once again, the game throws us into another driving segment that is surprisingly open. There isn't much to see, but you can explore if you want to. As I said before, this game still has open world elements left in it, and I'm glad they made it optional. You don't have to do any of this, but you are rewarded if you do so. You can even switch out cars for much cooler looking ones. They're all the same in terms of how they run, but having the option is rather cool. Eventually, we link back up with Barry, but we find him in quite the pickle, which throws us into one of the most jarring segments in the entire game.
God damn.
We are now playing at a concert with many die-hard fans. We have Barry on the aux while we blast to the music. Oh shit, is this copyrighted? Oh, thank God it's original. This song is called Children of the Elder Gods. At first, it sounds like just a wild heavy metal anthem, but the lyrics actually carry a lot of meaning. When they call out warriors and torchbearers, they actually talk about Alan and us, using light as a weapon against the Taken. The Scratching Hag is Barbara Jagger, the dark presence itself, clawing and enslaving people. References to Odin, Thor and their ravens are the Andersons framing this fight in mythological terms. To them, the battle between light and darkness is part of something ancient, something godlike. This entire song is the Andersons declaring themselves and Alan as champions in the struggle. It ties directly back to the game's core theme. Art is a weapon. For Alan, it's writing, and for the Andersons, it's music. Both can push back against the darkness. Even the song's title, Children of the Elder Gods, echoes Norse mythology, with Odin as the Allfather, the ultimate Elder Gods. The Andersons place themselves and Alan as his heirs, chosen champions in a Ragnarok-style battle against the Dark Presence. It's also pretty catchy, making this whole segment a blast to play through. Yo, oh shit!
Hey, Al!
I'm stuck! Mate! I'm stuck! What was that? It's not really that hard, since the light show from the concert actually helps against the Taken. Once the way to the farm is fully clear, it's more action from this point on, until we reach Valhalla, aka their house. That's another thing about Norse mythology. Valhalla is the Hall of the Fallen. In legend, only those who prove themselves in battle earn a place in Valhalla, chosen by Odin to fight and feast for eternity, and that's exactly how the Anderson brothers see themselves. Warriors who have already fought their war with the darkness, but instead of being summoned to Valhalla, they're now stuck at a clinic.
Valhalla!
They, however, left a message through the use of their music.
Can you hear that, Al? Music?
Of course. We need to find where it's coming from. That's the message the Andersons talked about. That's the whole reason we're here.
The song refers to the Lady of the Light, and Barry comes in clutch and piecing it together.
Lady of the Light? Oh, that's gotta be what's-her-face, the crazy lamp lady from the town.
Cynthia Weaver.
Right. Must be.
This song isn't random, it's pointing us back to the lamp lady, the old woman we met all the way back at the diner. If Alan wants help, she's the one he needs to find. Till then, Alan and Barry stay the night, as it's better to move during the day. They spend this time getting wasted, using the supply of moonshine left behind by the Andersons. From one of the manuscripts we found earlier, it reveals the key ingredient is water from Colton Lake, and Alan is about to find exactly what this stuff does.
What? What do they put in this stuff? I feel like my brain is coming out of my nose. I'm gonna get the recipe off those coots and be a booze millionaire.
He has a dream that brings him back to the very moment Alice went missing. It's giving back his lost memories. After he failed to save Alice, Barbara revealed herself to Alan and took control of him, making him write a story that would make her stronger and perhaps set her free. Alan spent an entire week writing this story. That's the timeline that was being suppressed, and this is where shit gets crazy. Alan eventually became self-aware again. He was still being controlled by the dark presence, but he was aware enough to write his own escape plan.
I've written myself into the story. I'm now the protagonist. This feels like a terrible risk, but it's the only way to save Alice. I'll be bound by the events of the story just as much as anyone else who's been woven into it. The story must stay true for this to work. There have to be victims along the way, near escapes, cliffhangers. In a horror story, it can't be certain that the hero will succeed or even survive. He almost has to die. I'll write my own escape into the story next.
He had to insert himself into the story and become a character. Before he did that, however, he brought Zane back along with him, inserting him as the light into the story, the one who had the power to destroy darkness.
Zane was weak and far away, but I had written him into the story and his light had been enough to set me free.
It isn't here now. I'm here because it was written. I brought the light to set you free. You must hurry. We'll know I'm here. It will be back soon.
Everything and everyone we've encountered have unknowingly become characters. There is only one way Alan can stop this. He must finish the story, write it in a way that would save not only everyone, but Alice too. He just needs to find it.
I wrote it. It's my fault.
That's right.
But
James.
Agent Nightingale is the villain he created, the one that will stop him. We're now back in town and it's currently getting ready for Deerfest, an annual event that takes place in Bright Falls, and the timing couldn't be any worse, because we're now in jail and it's getting dark. Alan is still yet to sober up from the moonshine, making him have more visions. This time, he sees the lamp lady, talking to herself about a key she is holding onto for Thomas, and that eventually someone will come for it because that's what Tom wrote.
The key is insurance. It's my job to keep it safe. Safe in the light. Always in the light.
What is she really talking about? Fuck knows. Anyway, right now we are sitting ducks. Nightingale has taken the manuscript from Alan and has been doing a lot of reading. He plans to use every page from it as evidence against us. However, this sheriff doesn't believe a word he has to say because 1, he isn't sober, and 2, she believes he's not here on official business. And she's right about both things. It's clear Nightingale is just a character who was written into the story. He's following the pages as intended, but now that he's read the pages, he's going off script.
Business.
Whoa! Get back in the cell, Stephen King. The only way you're leaving this place is over my dead...
Wait a minute.
What the fuck?
Oh my god!
After witnessing Nightingale get yeeted into oblivion, she now believes Alan's story and actually plays a big part in this chapter. We tell her everything and the best way to fight the darkness.
To know, what do you need from me?
They can be hurt in the light, only in the light. And I need to find Cynthia Weaver. She can help me stop this.
We also ask where to find the lamp lady, and it turns out she's living in some old decommissioned power plants. A location that's pretty far, but it's a good thing the sheriff has access to a rescue chopper. The only issue is, it's on the other side of town. This is where she partners up with us. Barry, on the other hand, is staying behind to warn certain people over the phone. She tells Barry to simply say to them, Night Springs. A reference to the TV show within the game's universe, but there's more to it than that. It's an inside joke within the town. They believe this very place was the original inspiration for the show because a lot of weird things happen here. For that reason, it was turned into a secret password. That's basically all we ever learn from it. It makes it sound like some sort of secret society that fights against the paranormal.
Hey, is this like a secret society?
Which actually reminds me, this is sort of similar to the Bookhouse Boys from Twin Peaks.
A secret society. Why don't we take Agent Cooper for a little ride? Where to?
In that show, it's a secret society set up by the town sheriff. to combat the darkness surrounding the town.
Something very, very strange in these old woods. Call it what you want. A darkness, a presence. It takes many forms, but it's been out there for as long as anyone can remember.
Huh, the more you know, I guess. For this next part, we will be fighting through the streets with the sheriff, who is surprisingly very capable. She wields a shotgun and isn't fucking around. In fact, you could probably let her do all the shooting if you wanted to. From here to the rescue chopper, it's nothing but action. There isn't anything here that really adds to the story, it's just straight up gameplay that I personally really enjoyed. What I love about it is how it lets you take a closer look at the town and really soak in its aesthetic. That small town vibe is a big reason why I love Twin Peaks so much. There's something special about a quiet town tucked away in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by dense woods. Nature feels untouched, like it's frozen in a time capsule. The towns themselves are rarely modern, usually a bit behind the times, but in a way that feels intentional, like the community prefers it that way. And that timeless, nostalgic feeling is exactly what makes it so effective in horror. On the surface, it feels safe, almost comforting, but the isolation and the surrounding wilderness give it an edge of mystery. The closer the community feels, the more unsettling it becomes when something sinister stirs beneath the surface. It's beautiful and eerie at the same time, which is exactly the kind of atmosphere that I love. Alan Wake plays off that vibe very well. Even though this isn't a horror game, it sure does a fantastic job of making you feel uneasy at times. There's also this one funny scene, where the game makes you think Barry gets crushed by a bus, but this motherfucker has thicker plot armor than Jon Snow. After a long battle through the streets, this segment ends with a final showdown. For some reason, the helicopter needs time to power up. I'm not sure whether or not that's actually a thing, but we have to protect it for the time being. Just like the concert fight from earlier, this also isn't that hard as there's a lot of things around to help you. Flares, floodlights, and a bunch of ammo. Eventually, the sheriff gets the chopper running and we make a mad dash towards the power plant. We arrive safely, but of course the game finds a way to throw us back into the madness solo. The sheriff does eventually come back to help though. She uses the powerful searchlight on the chopper to hurt the buggers, which does make it a lot easier to kill them. Honestly, this entire solo mission is rather easy and does drag on for a bit. All we have to do is make it to the power plant where we finally meet the lamp lady. Before we do, however, we discover the power plant's logo and it looks very familiar.
I recognize the logo on the power plant sign. I'd seen a version of it painted all over the area, signifying hidden caches of supplies.
This is Cynthia Weaver, the lamp lady. It turns out that she's not only been waiting for us for a very long time, but she has been preparing for this very moment ever since Thomas Zane gave her the key. All the supply caches that were hidden away in the woods were being stashed by her over the years. Not just for her, but for those who joined the fight. But what exactly is her connection to all this anyway? Well, she doesn't tell us everything yet, as she's pretty upset we've been breaking the rules.
We won't go outside. Never at night. That's rule number 1. You've been breaking the rules, young man, and where has that gotten us,
So, to redeem ourselves, she sends us out to fix the transformer. It's the only thing keeping all the lights on down in the pipe. So if we want this key, we better help her. It's only a short distance away, and it requires a trial and error puzzle, which took me off guard, because up to this point in the game, there have been 0 puzzles. At this point, my brain was tuned to shooting shit. I wasn't ready for this. So I did what every normal person would do, and that's button mash until all the lights went green. Once we fix the transformer, Cynthia starts to lore dump.
I knew them both, Tom and Barbara. I had such a crush on him.
Yeah, she does yap for quite a bit, so I will summarise it. Old people, am I right? Anyway, she personally knew both Barbara and Tom, but was jealous of their relationship, which explains all the obsessive writing she left on the wall. Just like Alan and Alice, Tom was staying on the island with Barbara and began writing his stories. This woke up the darkness at the bottom of the lake and took Barbara from him. He tried his best to get her back through writing even more, but it only made things worse, eventually writing not only himself, but Barbara and everything he built out of this world, which explains why there was no trace left of him. Before he did that, however, he left a special item with Cynthia to protect, just in case something like this was to ever happen again.
We are characters trapped in a story you have written, and none of us will survive to see the end of it if the darkness isn't stopped. She'll twist the story to her own dark ends. We've both been touched by the darkness, young man. He saved us both with light, but the darkness stays with you. Leaves a stain.
Whatever this item may be, it's waiting for us in the well-lit room. But something else comes up.
Okay, I'll tell Sarah.
It's Sarah now?
Whoa! No! Sweet love!
Barry! Barry! We gotta go see if they're okay.
Barry and Sarah are attacked. Alan, not wanting to lose his best friend, attempts to be a hero, and of course they're okay. I feel like Remedy only added this part in to pad out the game as you end up in the well-lit room shortly afterwards anyway. But there is one epic scene, where you have to run away from a supernatural tornado. That's cool at least.
What are you... Oh my god.
Take it, and I won't need to worry about the room anymore, because...
This is the well-lit room, a place where shadows don't exist, made up with thousands of light bulbs to ensure the safety of the key. But this item Cynthia has been protecting is something Alan wasn't expecting. It's not a key, but an autobiography of Alan's childhood, written by Thomas Zane. It's about the nightmares Alan used to have, and how his mother soothed them with a special item from his father.
The page was autobiographical, a memory from my childhood. But I didn't write this. It was a page written by Thomas Zane. None of them were supposed to exist anymore.
Alan, 7 years old, would fight sleep to the bitter end. When he did sleep, he soon woke up, screaming, the nightmares fresh in his mind. One evening, his mother, sitting by his bed, offered him an old light switch. She called it the clicker, and flicking the switch would turn on a magical light that would drive the beast away. To imbue the talisman with all possible power, she added that it had been given to her by Alan's father. Alan never knew him, and anything of his took on mythical proportions in his mind. With the clicker firmly in his hand, Alan finally slept like a baby. Now, almost 30 years later, Alan thought of this as he stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, the clicker in his hand. He took a deep breath and jumped.
My mind swirled. I'd given the clicker to Alice, yet it was here. Zane had written it into existence in a story I had written. I can get to her now. I can finish this.
Before Alan ends his story, we experience another flashback. We are now back in New York with a rough hangover. This vision is showing us the more sour side of Alan's relationship. His drinking problems, neglecting his job, and the pressure of being a writer. The sudden stop was the peak of his career, and it seems like he's done with it all now. On the TV, you can watch a live show Alan participated in, and you can just tell based on the way he speaks, he just wants to move on.
Now, there's been a lot of outrage about this. Why the hell did you kill Casey? What the hell were you thinking, man?
Good riddance. No, seriously though. 7 years and 6 books is a long time. He was a gloomy guy to spend all your working hours with, and it was a good run. But it's time to explore new things. My next book will be a departure from the old for me.
You selfish bastard. Oh, well, you've certainly been on the news a lot lately. Lots of parties and, you got into a fight with some paparazzi.
Oh, man. Well, that guy was really in my face. I lost my temper. I know that wasn't cool.
You are famous for that temper.
Well, I did also write several books.
The vision ends with a brief argument between him and Alice, but ends with them discussing a vacation.
I'm sorry. Once this is over, let's go away together. A vacation. Just you and me. Some peace and quiet.
We're in the endgame now. All we have to do is drive our ass all the way back to Cauldron Lake. It's the source of the darkness, and with the clicker in hand, we should be able to finally end this madness. But before I get behind the wheel, I should probably explain what the fuck just happened.
To imbue the talisman with all possible power.
To put it simply, Thomas has written the clicker back into existence. He has given it the ability to end it all, but how exactly has he done this, and why has it taken him this long? Well, the key was actually Thomas himself. A part of him remains within the autobiography, and the well-lit room was protecting him from the darkness. But that doesn't explain the clicker. Once Alan wrote himself into the story, he became the protagonist, and in order for him to win, he would need a weapon that can exist within this story. And with this TV, Alan explains it perfectly.
Save Alice. I'll be bound by the events of the story just as much as anyone else who's been woven into it. The story must stay true for this to work. There have to be victims along the way, near escapes, cliffhangers. In a horror story, it can't be certain that the hero will succeed or even survive. He almost has to die. I'll write my own escape into the story next. I need help. Zane's going to be the one who'll help me. I'll make it happen.
The story has to end in a way that makes sense. Since Alan is the main character, Thomas has created a scenario where victory is achievable. Using his childhood nightmares and the clicker, he has binded it with power. By doing this, the story can end on Alan's terms. He needs to get back to Cauldron Lake since the last page is left in the typewriter. Without that, he cannot write the ending, but he wants to do this alone. So his plan is to lock Barry and the sheriff in the well-lit room for protection, but for some reason he points the gun at the sheriff, like what the fuck?
Miss Weaver, close the door when I leave.
Good luck, Al.
See you later. When I got out, it was warm and sunny. I'd flicked the switch of the clicker. Had it done this? I didn't stop to question it. I had to take advantage of the sunlight to get to the lake. On Zane's page, I'd stood on the rim of Cauldron Lake, about to use the clicker. That's where I was headed.
We hit the road and floor it towards the lake. And it's a good thing it's day 2. Now we don't have to worry about the dark. Oh fuck. It's aware of the power we hold now and begins to unleash everything at us, even throwing time and reality out the window completely by rewriting the time of day, which truly shows you the sheer power this thing has. It feels like it's been holding back on us since the beginning, but with the threat of a bad ending, it throws everything at us. Tornadoes, the Taken, bulldozers, and even a fucking monster truck.
Oh, hell no!
This segment mainly consists of driving, but you will have to switch out your car multiple times. Regardless of that, this really feels like an ending, but it kind of drags on to be honest, and I'm not sure what else to add. After a brutal journey, we are now back where it all began. I'm not sure whether or not this is meant to be a boss fight or what, but all we have to do is shoot a few flares into a tornado. Once it's been destroyed, Alan takes a leap of faith, sending him into an otherworldly place.
Hell!
He's home back with Alice, but it's not truly her.
Shh, baby. You were having a bad dream. It was just another nightmare.
No.
Everything's fine. You're home.
It wasn't a dream.
Everything's fine.
Turn the lights on. Turn the lights on!
In a desperate attempt, the darkness is trying to fool Alan into a trap. Most likely trying to take back control, but Alan is too self-aware for that to happen. The story is no longer in the hands of the darkness. Regardless of that, it still continues its trickery. However, it's completely forgot about one thing: the clicker.
must find your way to the cabin.
Zane gives us instructions on what to do, but there is one thing that feels off about this. We see a different version of ourselves, and Zane doesn't refer to him as Alan, but rather Mr. Scratch.
Don't mind him, he's Mr. Scratch. Your friends will meet him when you're gone.
Apparently, he will be the one to meet our friends once this all ends, meaning there may not be a way out of this. Despite that, we continue to the cabin. With the clicker in hand, we place it into the hole where her heart is meant to be, and we switch her light on. Holy fuck, that was corny. The darkness is finally gone. With that, there is only one thing left to do now. We must fill out the final page with an ending that will save us all.
I understood what I had to do now. I knew how to write the ending to Departure. There's light and there's darkness. Cause and effect. There's guilt and there's atonement. But the scales always need to balance. Everything has a price. That's where Zane had gone wrong. There's a long journey through the night back into the light.
Alice?
Once the ending has been solidified, we are now back to where it all began. And Alan yet again takes that leap of faith to save Alice. But there is something wrong. Only Alice escaped. The town continues its day like nothing ever happened. Everything has gone back to normal, almost implying the whole story took place in a different dimension. However, despite Alan's efforts, he never truly got the ending he desired. There is still darkness within Rose and Nightingale.
It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
Alan, wake up.
The darkness was much bigger and much more powerful than Alan realised. He never fully understood it, leading to him writing an ending where he will remain in the darkness. Alan Wake is a masterclass in storytelling. The entire time it kept me guessing, and it literally kept me in the dark even after the credits rolled. The game just oozes mystery and I absolutely loved it. I can't believe it took me this long to finally play it, but I'm so glad I did. Now I just have to dive into Alan Wake 2 to fully grasp this masterpiece. Even without touching the sequel yet, I already understand why these games are so beloved. Yeah, the gameplay can get a little repetitive, but the story alone kept me going, and honestly, it's one of the best stories I have ever experienced. For me, Alan Wake isn't just a game, it's an experience about stories themselves, and how they shape us. And that's what makes it timeless.